Welcome back. I'm really glad you're here. Listen, have you ever been scammed? Anybody you love ever been the victim of a scam?
It's a scam, and I refuse to be scammed.
Well, today I've got 5 real estate scams, and I'm gonna tell you how to avoid them. All right, welcome back. Listen, I've got 5 scams that I want to talk to you about today and how to avoid them, how not to be a victim. Okay, scam number 1. This has to do with rentals. Now, you guys know I have a property management company as well as the real estate company, and this is actually a fraud that we have had calls from potential tenants that this scam has trapped. It's real and it can be expensive. Okay, a scammer will find an ad for a listing for a rental property. They'll copy the ad and then substitute their contact information on the ad. The potential tenant will call the number on the ad and get approved over the phone, and the scammer will have the applicant send the deposit, maybe the first month's rent, via Venmo or other digital money transfer platform. Tells the tenant they'll meet them there at a certain day and time to give them the keys. Well, surprise, surprise. Since the scammer doesn't own the property, they never show up. The scammer receives the money, the tenant is just out their deposit, maybe the first month's rent, you know, whatever it was that they sent to this bad actor. So who does this affect? A tenant who is maybe in a rush to get a place, maybe someone who has been turned down, maybe someone who's been turned down for a previous rental, maybe they have a pet, poor credit score, insufficient income, you know, whatever the reason. And typically these scammers, they won't ask any of these questions. They'll just ask, you know, sort of some preliminary easy questions and then say, yeah, you're approved, send me the money.
Where's the money?
And it kind of sounds great to not have to fill out another application fee, you know, go through that whole process again. So how do you avoid this scam? How do you avoid being scammed by these bad actors? If this property is being advertised by a company, look up that company on their own website and call the number that is listed on their website. And then regardless of whether it's a management company or if it's being advertised by a private person, make sure you actually meet someone at the property. You see the property, you make a connection with a real human being. It's really important to establish that you are working with someone who actually represents that property before you hand over the money. Another sort of red flag is most property management companies will not ask you to pay via Venmo.
Venmo me $19, I got this.
If you're being asked to pay through one of these platforms, really be cautious. Most property managers are going to have a portal that you have to have a password and log in order to give them your deposit and first month's rent. Scam number 2, title fraud. Okay, this one is fortunately not as prevalent as some of the other types of scams that we're talking about today, as it's more difficult to pull off. There's third parties involved, like lenders, title companies. In this fraud, the scammer will actually forge documents to transfer the ownership of a property to themselves, then take out a mortgage or a HELOC, a home equity line of credit, against the property. The homeowner, the real homeowner, then is left with a debt, maybe potentially losing the home, having to go through a court process, a legal process to unravel this. It can be really scary. It really has more to do with identity theft.
Identity theft is not a joke, Jim.
So if you have an identity theft protection, most credit cards offer it, you know, something like that. That's a good way to be notified if there's a bad actor out there trying to pull something like this. Now, there's a related thing that I want to tell you about, and I don't know if I necessarily lump it into the scam bucket, but it is something that can cost people money. So I've had clients call me to ask about companies that provide title fraud insurance. Say it's like maybe $20 or $30 a month, something like that. Now, this is different than the title insurance that you get when you close on a house, when you purchase a house, okay? So the title insurance that you get when you purchase a house is a policy typically paid by the seller that insures you from the point of closing into history against liens, encumbrances, defects on the title, so forth. What I'm talking about now is something that happens after you own the home, and there's companies out there who claim that they will let you know if your title has been tampered with. You guys, titles are public documents. Deeds are recorded at the county recorder. You can log in or you can call your county recorder and see if anything has happened, and you can do it for free, and you can do it anytime you want to.
You can call me anytime you want, sweetie.
So these companies who have very well-known spokespeople, they're looking at the same information that is available to you for free. And they will only be able to notify you after there's a problem, just like you would only be able to find out after there was a problem.
Houston, you have a problem.
Because this type of fraud has more to do, again, with identity theft, take those precautions with your social security number, your mortgage documents, all of those things that are really just common sense. Scam number 3, flipping scams. Now, I don't know, again, if this is truly a scam or if it's just maybe lack of disclosure, maybe some people being a little unethical. Anyway, it was definitely happening more in the last few years when the market was just going bananas. So a home flipper will purchase a home for a particular price, perhaps below market, because the property needs some work, it needs some repairs, it needs something. Instead of doing a real authentic remodel, they'll put in new carpet, slap some paint on the walls, call it updated and remodeled. The problem comes when a buyer thinks they're getting something that is more updated than it really is. So if you are purchasing a home from someone who has flipped it or who hasn't owned it for very long, please make sure to check out the things that can be really expensive to update or replace. How old is the electrical system? Has the plumbing system been updated or replaced? How old are the sewer lines?
60% of the time, it works every time.
Trust me, this is an expensive and really, really gross problem to have, okay? Having a sewer back up into your basement, it's just disgusting. Okay, how about the roof? How old is the roof? How many layers of shingles are up there? How is the grading around the house? Is there a negative slope that's going to create moisture intrusion into the property? We see this type of scam, if you want to call it that, increase when inventory was so low and there was so much competition for every single listing that came on the market. No matter how bad you want that house or how urgent it is to make something happen right now, please make sure you're having a good, thorough inspection done by an inspector who is reputable and established in your market, okay? Don't buy something with an active leak where the flipper has painted over the mold and then, just put it back on the market. So make sure that you're really doing some intense due diligence on homes that are flipped. Now, here's a new one. This is scam number 4.
Oh, this is new.
This has just come about in the last few years and is really starting to take off. Okay, this is a fraud that has to do with property owners and listing contracts. There are companies out there who will approach a property owner and offer them a cash payment, $500, $1,000, maybe a little more. It's usually not a big sum. In exchange for that payment, the property owner signs a 40-year listing agreement, a 40-year listing agreement.
That's a very long time.
Now, this property doesn't actually get listed right now, but this is a legitimate contract and the scammer will file the contract as a lien against the property. So when that property owner or possibly their heirs go to sell the home, the contract is enforced and the seller then owes this company whatever commission amount has been agreed to in the contract. These companies are targeting more vulnerable populations. It has been devastating to some families. Please look out for the people that you love. Make them aware of this type of fraud. These contracts are enforceable, they're legitimate, and again, they can be absolutely devastating to property owners and heirs if they're not expecting this additional expense when they go to sell the home. Okay, I've saved the best for last because this scam is the most prevalent.
They're everywhere.
It is happening all across the country. It is happening in communities that are big and communities that are small. This is real estate wire fraud. Okay, how does this work? A bad actor will gain access to the email accounts of somebody involved in the real estate transaction. Could be the realtor, could be the lender, could be the title company. They'll watch the communications going back and forth, and as it gets closer to the time when this property is getting ready to close, there will be an email that goes out to the buyer with instructions on how to get their down payment money wired to title so they can close on the home. The bad actor now who has been monitoring, the communications going back and forth will see that this is happening.
I can see everything.
They will send an email, maybe a text message, but more often an email that looks like it's coming from someone involved in the transaction. They'll change the account number at the bank and the routing number to their own account. This email looks very much like a realtor's email, like a logo, or maybe the lender's email address, or the title company, maybe with one letter changed or something like that. You guys, if you go to the bank and try to get your money back, if you have followed these incorrect instructions and wired that money off to somebody else, most of the time the bank cannot help you.
I'm so sorry we can't help you.
They have followed your instructions and wired the money where you told them to send it. There are so many stories of folks who have lost every dime they have for their down payment because it went to a bad actor's bank account and they can't get it back. Just recently, there was a veteran who had saved $80,000 for his down payment, and he innocently wired it to a scammer. It was gone. It was gone. He nearly lost the ability to purchase this house. In this case, someone set up a GoFundMe account, and there was enough donations made that he was able to go through and purchase that house. But that's just a one-off, you guys. This is so scary, and it's really, really happening. So how do you protect yourself from this scam? Always call the title company and voice verify the wiring instructions. And don't call from the email that you just received, okay? Again, look up the title company, look up their website, call the number listed there. It only takes a few minutes.
This will just take a minute.
To make sure that the funds that you are wiring are going to the correct account and you're going to be able to close on this purchase. It's really critical and just really easy to verify. So don't be a victim of any of these scams. Be vigilant, use common sense, protect your identity, and look at your real estate transactions through a critical lens, because when emotions are running high, when people are feeling rushed, when there's so many things that have to happen all at the same time, sometimes folks just aren't as diligent as they would normally be. But I know that all of you are going to be just fine because I have the smartest audience in the world, right? Please let me know if you have any questions about real estate fraud. Have you ever experienced it? Do you know anybody who has? Leave me a comment. I can't wait to hear from you. I am Jennie Hendricks. We'll see you soon.